Welcome back to the ThePelipperPost. Today we're looking at the Marquee Models Pokemon League Cup. In the first round it is Scot Symonds against Duncan Scott. Scott is playing Zoroark Lycanroc, which has been one of the most popular decks of the current format in this quarter so far, getting quite a few top 4 and final finishes within tours and other tournaments that have happened recently in this quarter. Whereas Duncan's trying a new archetype, which is Naganadel Dusk Mane Necrozma. So this should be a really interesting matchup to see a deck which has already proven to be a very good contender within the top of the Pokemon trading card game against Duncan's makeshift deck that he's created here. So Duncan goes first. He starts off with a Katana in the active position, and he's possibly looking to get an Ultra Space. Oh, so here he goes for an Ultra Ball. So ideally here, the idea of the deck is to go for an Ultra Space, so then you can start getting bench Pokemon down for your Naganadel to basically swing and attack using Beast Raid, which is its first attack for a single colourless energy. So Duncan is possibly looking to search for a Poipole to slowly go into his Naganadel, or he could be looking for a Tapu Lele for a supporter, depending on the state of his hand. So here, Duncan goes for a Dusk Mane Necrozma, and let's see what his next move is going to be. So here he's really eyeing up whether he wants to go back into his deck, so whether he has a Tapu Lele or another Ultra Ball in his hand, maybe. So is he going to go in or is he not, is the first question. So here Scott started off with a Mewtwo, which could be a good start because of the Naganadel being Psychic weak. So it could possibly be a very, very good attacker, although it will only be doing 80 damage per hit, so it needs a choice band to be doing 140 because of the weakness that it has on the Naganadel. So here he goes for a, I believe that's a Tapu Lele for a Cynthia. Yes, a Tapu Lele for Cynthia. So here he max elixirs to try and hit an energy onto this Duskmane. So he whiffs it, sadly. Shout out to Bruce Kelf for missing all of his elixirs. And then he plays another elixir. So Duncan here, having all the elixirs in his hand, he needs to start trying to accelerate this energy to this Duskmane Necrozma, so that he's able to attack with it in the next turn. So here he does attach one energy from the max elixir, and here he Cynthia's shuffling his hand into his deck to draw 6. So here, an okay start from Duncan. He's able to get an extra energy on the board to that Dusk Mane Necrozma, and the only bad side about it is he does have the Kartana GX in the active. So here he finds himself a Poipole, and also he finds himself the promo Dusk Mane Necrozma, which has Dusk Shot and Rusty Claw as its 2 attacks. So here Duncan passes over to Scott, which Scott pulls down a Tapu Lele, and in much of a Zoroark style, he'll probably be Bridgeting for 3 basic Pokemon early doors, so that he can then get his board state set up. So here Scott does play down the Bridget and plays down 3 Zoroark onto the bench. So here Scott really trying to set up his Zoroarks so that Duncan can't stop him setting up for the next turn. So let's see as well what he has in his hand. So he plays a Rockruff from hand, which it's one of the Forbidden Lights Rockruffs rather than a corner or a tackle Rockruff. So here Scott is going for the extra HP over the usability of its attacks. So personally, I prefer the corner Rockruff, where it's able to actually keep something in the active, and then it forces your opponent to Guzma around it, meaning that one of your most dangerous pieces of Zoroark Lycanroc won't be getting taken out. So here Duncan's turn, so Scott passes without an energy attachment. Oh, he actually attaches the strong energy to the Rockruff. So here Duncan Ultra Balls away an Ultra Ball and a Float Zone to get his Naganadel. So here we're going to see possibly a Beast Raid early doors, because he's going to be able to do probably around 80 damage to whatever Pokemon, because he has 4 Ultra Beasts in play. So Duncan's already started to get set up. he's really going through. So here he attaches an energy to the Naganadel, so he is going to be looking to Beast Raid this turn. It just depends on what Duncan is going to look to do. So does he have a way of retreating the cutter? So there, Duncan goes for the Rockruff and he takes a prize, knocking it out with Beast Raid. So now Scott has to decide what he wants to do. And looking at his hand, he does have a DCE in hand, so if he's able to find a Zoroark GX, he might be able to attack with a Zoroark this next turn. So here, it does look like he's eyeing up promoting that Zoroark. So let's see what he's going to be doing. So yep, so promotes the Zoroark, draws the card for turn. So what has he got? So I believe that's the Typeable, which personally it's the best card in the format, because you're able to roll heads and find 2 evolution Pokemon, and on numerous occasions I've been able to find 2 evolutions, if not just the one, but it is a very, very good card. So here Scott just does 100 damage, playing out his entire hand to be able to get 100 damage onto this Naganadel. So here Scott's in a really, really difficult situation. It's got no cards in hand, but obviously with the power of Zoroark, that can turn from being 1 card to 2, then from 2 cards to 3, and then so on and so forth. So that draw system will really start going for Scott soon if he's able to set up some more Zoroarks. Now here, Duncan does find the Ultra Space, so he's searching his deck for an Ultra Beast, so that he's able to start setting up his board. So he's starting to do possibly 100 damage, possibly 110, dependent on a choice band attachment to the Naganadel. So here Duncan's really eyeing up, I believe, another Dusk Mane. No, he's Kartana, so he's looking to discard the energy, which is really, really good play from him, discarding that energy early on, making sure that Scott's not able to attack possibly next turn, forcing him to have to find that DCE within his deck. So hopefully Duncan can play an energy for the turn. So look, he's got one in hand, but he's trying to look at where he's going to be attaching this energy. So is he going to be looking to attach it to the Dusk Mane to charge it up further, or will he be looking to... Oh, okay, so he attaches the B-String, retreats the Naganadel, and looks to, I believe it's Rush Shot for 90. So because of that Beast energy being attached, he's able to hit for 90 rather than the 60 in the first attack. So here Scott top decks an N straight off the top of his deck, so he's able to shuffle his hand of 0 into his deck and draw 6 cards, which isn't a bad place to be. So here Duncan's down to 5 cards now, where Scott's on 6. So here Scott plays 1 Zoroark down. Looks like Scott's also going to be playing down the Rockruff. So here he then trades first time, which is trades a Bridget. Trades twice another Bridget, so there 2 Bridgets in a row. Off of the trades, he finds the double colourless energy and hits into the Dusk Mane Necrozma with 120 damage. That Dusk Mane Necrozma having 130 means that it does survive this turn. So looking at Duncan's board state now, it entirely depends on what he wants to do. So here he could possibly snipe around the Zoroark, which personally I would have done last turn, looking to try and take out one of the other Zoroarks on the bench, because as soon as Scott starts setting up more and more of his Zoroarks, the easier it is for him to play the game. So here Duncan attaches to the other Dusk Mane Necrozma GX this time, and he attaches a Floatstone to the Kartana, attaches another Floatstone to the other Kartana, and then he Sycamores, getting rid of an Ultra Space and an energy, which will that prove costly in the later game, discarding another energy. So here Duncan's looking to probably attack with this Dusk Mane in the active. Let's have a look at what he does decide to do. So here he's having a think, and he puts another 180 damage onto this Zoroark. Now, if he did find a choice band there, that would have been the knockout onto the Zoroark, but sadly he did not find himself a choice band. So here, Scott, let's see what he's going to do. So he trades first time an Ultra Ball away. Then he's eyeing up possibly trading for his second turn. So no, he field blowers both the float stones first of all onto the Kartanas. And then, let's see, so he trades second time the Kukui, which Professor Kukui in this matchup is incredibly good, allowing the the Lycanroc, sorry, to be able to start hitting into Pokemon and going again. So here Scott Ace Rollers, which I think is a fantastic play from him, literally taking away all of the damage away from that Zoroark, which is why personally I would have gone for the early one prize attackers rather than going for the 2 prize attacker in Zoroark. So here Scott attaches that DCE back to a Zoroark and knocks out the Dusk Mane Necrozma promo. So both of them now going down to 5 prizes. So Duncan promotes that Kartana, and it looks like he's going to be able to retreat this next turn. So he's having a little look at both the discards. So now let's have a look at both the cards in a little bit full. So Dusk Mane Necrozma GX does allow you to hit 220, but it needs 4 energies, and then you end up discarding them energies afterwards. Whereas I think Duncan's looking to use the GX before he's having to discard all of them energies off of the Pokemon. So here he attaches to the Naganadel, and I believe he's going to have to pass here. Oh no, he's got a Guzma in hand. So there he Guzmas up the Rockruff again, and he uses his Ultra Space to be able to search his deck to find another Poipole, so he's able to get another Naganadel out next turn if he has to. So here he's going in on this Rockruff, and he should be going down to 4 prizes. So once again, Duncan really taking it to Scott, trying to knock out his Rockruffs, because those are what Duncan sees as being as his main threat on the board. So here Scott's got to try and think about what he wants to promote. I believe there's damage already on that Naganadel, so if Scott's able to find a choice band or an extra basic Pokemon, he could knock out this Naganadel with a Zoroark with just a simple Righteous Beating. But let's see what he finds. So first of all, he trades away a Fighting Energy from his hand, and here I'm guessing Scott's probably pulled into a double puzzle at a time, just from the fact that he's looking through his own discard, trying to pull that. So here he trades the Mew, so that's easy prizes for Duncan if that Mew ended up getting put down. So I can understand here why Scott has chosen not to bench that Mew. So here, is he going to trade one more time? Let's have a look. He trades for his final time another Fighting Energy, and let's see if he hits that basic Pokemon. Judging from the look of it, it doesn't go down, but here's an Ultra Ball to get rid of a Mallow, and let's see what other card Scott's going to get rid of. So a Floatstone as well. So Floatstone is normally a really key card in Zoroark Lycanroc, because if anything gets stuck in the active, you really want to try and find that Floatstone to be able to retreat something from the active and bring it back into the bench. So here Scott goes for the Lele into a Guzma, and he's Guzmaing up the Dusk Mane with 2 energies onto it to take a little shot at it, and then he's going to be doing 120 damage. So here Duncan draws for turn, and Duncan is going to Ultra Space, so he's looking to find himself possibly another Naganadel so he can put it onto his bench, but he's already got one there, so depending on what his prizes are like. So here he does find his lovely Rainbow Rare Naganadel, looking to try to develop his board state further. So here I did really like what Scott did in terms of Guzmaing up the Dusk Mane Necrozma, because where Duncan's been really early and aggressive towards his Lycanrocs, Rockruff, sorry, he's now got to try and 2-shot the Dusk Mane Necrozmas and try to make sure he's really taking the game to Duncan, because here at the moment, even with bringing up this Dusk Mane Necrozma, he's not able to really accelerate too many energies, possibly from max elixirs and possibly from attachments, to be able to do that 220 onto Scott's Zoroark. So here, Duncan is really thinking about what he wants to do in terms of attaching this metal energy. So he does choose to attach it to the Dusk Mane, although he will not be able to access that GX attack just yet. So possibly he could be looking to... oh, he just does 60 damage and passes. So here, this Dusk Mane Necrozma could be getting knocked out here due to Scott bringing it up from that Guzma, which was a really, really good play. So here's Scott Mallows to be able to search his deck for any 2 cards that he decides to get, and then put them on top of his deck after he shuffles. So then this means that you can easily trade into him using the Zoroark's GX's ability, and then really start cracking through finding cards that he does need over cards that he doesn't need through them trades. So here as well, Scott, really unlucky not to be able to get a Lycanroc on the go at all this game so far, because of the fact that Lycanroc could come really, really useful with its GX move, Dangerous Rogue, because look at the state of Duncan's board. He's got loads of GX Pokemon out in play. He's looking to really put some damage onto the board with Beast Raids, so he's looking to build up his board, whereas then Scott would be able to come in onto something like the Dusk Mane and just completely wipe it out in one big shot. So here, Scott promotes the Tapu Lele, and he's then able to then knock out the Dusk Mane Necrozma with just a single attack. So of Energy Drive, sorry. Couldn't remember what Tapu Lele's attack was then. So yeah, Energy Drive. So yeah, and then being able to knock it out. So Scott's now gone down to 3 prizes, leapfrogging Duncan. So here, this is where Duncan would have liked to been able to use his Dusk Mane Necrozma and the GX attack, but he's not been able to do so. So here, in fact, he does have another Dusk Mane down. He uses Beast Ring twice, so he's getting all 4 energies out from his deck. I wonder how many energies that is left in his deck now, because of the fact that he's using all of these energies to be able to attach to this Dusk Mane Necrozma, and also he discards one with the Kartana as well. So here he goes for that straight knockout with the GX move to then go to 2 prizes. So here Scott's in a little bit of a tricky situation, because this Dusk Mane's ready to one-shot anything with a 2 prize attacker. And here Scott's got to really play this carefully, so he's got to try to find out how he can start to take down this Dusk Mane Necrozma. So here he double puzzles. Let's see what he tries to find off of this double puzzle, which he finds himself a DCE and possibly a Choice Band, if he's got one in his deck, if he's not got one in his hand. So let's see what other card he is. Possibly, yeah, so he goes for another Rockruff, so he's possibly able to Righteous Beat him for the next turn, or set himself up another Dangerous Rogue for the game. But here he actually, in fact, goes for another Guzma, so he can then Guzma around Duncan's board state, especially with that damaged Naganadel on his bench. So here, Scott attaches the Floatstone to a Zoroark, which then means that he's able to retreat that Zoroark out and then put into the Mewtwo, which is only a single prize attacker. So here, if Duncan has any form of Guzma, any form of anything, he will be able to knock out a Zoroark with the Meteor Tempest attack. So here, Scott swings with the Mewtwo, ends Duncan down to 2 cards, and here it all depends on what Duncan pulls from his next card to see how the swing of the game goes. So here, Duncan really looks like he's been unlucky from that N. He's looking through his deck now using Ultra Space, and he's really now thinking what options he does have, because I do not believe he pulled the Guzma off of his top deck, or it was in his cards when he end. Now this is one criticism I personally have of the deck, and I really believe that the deck doesn't really have as great a draw support as it could have, which possibly could lead to, when Blacephalon finally does get announced, it could be a draw support for this deck, which then would mean that Dusk Mane Necrozma Naganadel really has a chance to be able to shine in the format, because obviously Buzzwole's being a really, really big threat at the moment in terms of how that's doing at the moment, and it is one of the best decks in format. So here, Duncan decides just to go straight in, knock out that Mewtwo going down to 1 prize card. And here Scott brings up the Zoroark GX with the Floatstone and trades once away a multi-switch, trades twice a strong energy, and looks like he's probably going to look to take out this Dusk Mane Necrozma. So here he retreats and attacks using his Zoroark and knocks out. So they both go down to 1 prize. This has been a fantastic game so far. Duncan is promoted his damaged Naganadel, so at least he can get an attack off. But here I think that with Duncan having that damaged Naganadel and not that much energy left on his field, especially needing 4 energy to be able to attack using a Dusk Mane, it could be long gone for Duncan. But here we will see how it goes. He does Cynthia so that he's able to draw 6 cards, but we shall see how this goes. So he's looking through Scott's discard to see how many Gizmos he's used, see how many resources he has used, how many Lycanrocs, Rockruffs he's been through, because he does need to get more Pokemon onto his bench to be able to cause more damage onto this Naganadel. So possibly here, even Scott could possibly lose this. So here I believe that will be 80 damage, but it should be 60. Wait, hold on. No, it should be 60 damage. Yep, so it's 60 damage onto that Zoroark. So here Scott does have the choice band, and he's able to take the knockout on the Naganadel. So there you go. So Scott takes the first game against Duncan, which is a really good, really competitive game, and personally was a really good game to set off the first game of the Marquee Model League Cup. So thank you very much for watching, and look forward to seeing you back for the second round.